In the quiet hours when stadium lights have faded and the deafening echoes of concerts have long disappeared, another story continues to unfold beyond the stage. It is a story written not only through music, but through unwavering loyalty, emotional connections, and the countless voices of millions of ARMY spread across every corner of the world. Rankings may change, trends may rise and fall, yet certain names continue to command extraordinary admiration year after year. Official records reveal part of the picture, while global fan engagement, public influence, and online discussions paint an even more intriguing narrative. From every vote, every streaming milestone, and every unforgettable moment, a question quietly emerges. Which BTS member has captured the greatest affection from ARMY worldwide in 2026? Kpop Fact Today examines the evidence, the statistics, and the worldwide phenomenon behind one of the most fascinating rankings in the history of BTS. Number 7. RM. As the first light of dawn reaches Seoul, and the headquarters where countless decisions shaping BTS's global journey have been made over the years, another narrative quietly emerges beneath the surface of extraordinary commercial success. It is not defined by album sales alone, nor by sold-out stadiums or streaming milestones that dominate headlines across continents. Instead, it exists within the quieter moments shared between an artist and millions of supporters who continue to follow every speech, every interview, every handwritten message, and every thoughtful reflection. In 2026, official records continue to demonstrate RM's immense influence as the leader of BTS, while countless discussions across fan communities suggest that his appeal extends far beyond music itself. Various public analyses frequently describe him as the intellectual foundation of the group, a figure whose calm leadership, philosophical perspective, and remarkable communication skills have earned admiration from audiences who value sincerity over spectacle. Although this ranking places him in the 7th position among the members most loved by ARMY worldwide, the difference should never be interpreted as a measure of lesser importance. Instead, it reflects the extraordinary reality that every BTS member commands a level of global devotion rarely witnessed in modern entertainment history. Throughout the years, RM has consistently represented stability during moments of uncertainty. Whenever unexpected challenges confronted BTS, many observers noted that he often became the first voice attempting to provide clarity, reassurance, and perspective. Official documentaries, interviews, and public appearances repeatedly reveal an individual carefully weighing every word before speaking, understanding that each sentence may resonate across dozens of languages and millions of listeners. This cautious yet authentic communication style has become one of the defining characteristics appreciated by fans around the world. Many ARMY members describe RM not merely as an idol, but as someone whose reflections encourage self-improvement, curiosity, and emotional resilience. His habit of discussing literature, art, philosophy, history, and personal growth has distinguished him from many contemporary performers, creating an image that combines artistic achievement with intellectual exploration. Various commentaries suggest that this unique identity has attracted audiences beyond traditional K-pop communities, expanding BTS's influence into academic discussions, cultural conversations, and international media analyses. Official records further indicate that RM's songwriting contributions remain among the strongest foundations of BTS's musical identity. Numerous tracks credited to him continue to receive recognition for their lyrical complexity, emotional honesty, and social commentary. While listeners often celebrate catchy melodies and unforgettable choreography, analysts frequently point toward the group's lyrical depth as one of the reasons BTS established such enduring global relevance. RM's involvement in that creative process has therefore become inseparable from the broader success of the group itself. Across social media platforms in 2026, fan discussions repeatedly emphasize his ability to transform deeply personal experiences into universally relatable messages. Rather than presenting himself as flawless, RM has openly acknowledged uncertainty, pressure, personal mistakes, and continuous learning throughout his career. Many supporters argue that this transparency creates an unusually strong emotional connection, allowing audiences to see not only an international superstar, but also an individual navigating responsibilities that few people could truly imagine. This perception has contributed significantly to the respect surrounding his public image. At the same time, several observers note that RM's popularity often differs from more visually driven trends associated with celebrity culture. Instead of relying primarily on viral moments or dramatic headlines, his reputation has developed steadily through consistency, intelligence, and credibility. Public appearances at museums, collaborations with respected artists, speeches delivered on international stages, and thoughtful interviews have reinforced an identity built upon substance rather than short-term attention. Official appearances at global institutions over previous years continue to be referenced whenever discussions arise regarding BTS's broader cultural influence. Many commentators believe these moments strengthened international recognition not only for RM himself, but also for Korean culture on a global scale. Nevertheless, measuring affection remains remarkably complex. Official statistics can calculate album sales, streaming numbers, social media followers, and concert attendance, yet they cannot fully quantify emotional loyalty. Various fan surveys conducted by different organizations frequently produce different results depending on methodology, region, demographics, and participation levels. Some communities consistently rank RM among their absolute favorites because of his leadership and wisdom, while others prioritize different members based on musical preferences, performance style, or personal emotional connection. Such variations illustrate why no ranking can ever represent a definitive truth accepted by every fan worldwide. Rather, they provide a snapshot of evolving public sentiment shaped by countless individual experiences. Another intriguing aspect frequently highlighted in community discussions concerns RM's influence during periods when BTS members pursue individual artistic activities. Many observers argue that despite exploring solo careers, his public identity remains deeply connected to the collective narrative of BTS. His interviews often emphasize teamwork, long-term vision, and mutual trust among the members, instead of individual recognition. This consistent focus on unity has strengthened the perception that RM views leadership not as authority but as responsibility. Various analyses suggest that such humility further reinforces the admiration expressed by millions of ARMY across different generations. Even critics who debate rankings rarely question his significance within BTS's history. Official milestones repeatedly demonstrate that his creative fingerprints appear throughout the group's evolution, influencing not only lyrics, but also artistic direction, conceptual storytelling, and international communication. Without those contributions, many experts argue that BTS's global identity might have developed along a very different path. As discussions continue throughout 2026, one reality remains difficult to ignore. Popularity can fluctuate, trends inevitably change, and public attention constantly shifts. Yet respect earned through consistency often proves remarkably resilient. RM's place in this ranking represents far more than a numerical position. It symbolizes years of leadership under extraordinary pressure, artistic dedication sustained across an unprecedented global career, and an enduring relationship with millions who continue to find meaning in his words long after the music ends. But if influence cannot always be measured by numbers alone, could the quiet strength of BTS's leader conceal an even greater legacy than any ranking is capable of revealing? Number 6. J-Hope. As evening descends over Seoul and the final rehearsals fade into silence inside enormous performance arenas, the empty stage often reveals a truth invisible during the excitement of a live concert. The dazzling lights are extinguished, the deafening cheers disappear into memory, and only the echoes of countless hours of discipline remain. It is within this atmosphere that another chapter of BTS's global story quietly unfolds, a chapter centered on an artist whose energy appears almost limitless under the spotlight, yet whose unwavering commitment behind the scenes has become equally legendary. In 2026, J-Hope occupies the sixth position in this ranking of the most beloved BTS members among ARMY worldwide, not because his influence has diminished, but because every member of BTS exists within an extraordinary phenomenon, where the difference between one position and another is often separated by remarkably small margins. Official records continue to demonstrate his enormous impact as both a performer and a solo artist, while discussions across international fan communities consistently describe him as one of the group's most reliable sources of optimism, discipline, and creative innovation. Yet beneath the vibrant stage presence that millions recognize lies a far more complex story, one built upon relentless preparation, artistic precision, and a reputation that has steadily expanded far beyond the boundaries of K-pop. Throughout BTS's career, countless choreographers, music critics, and industry observers have highlighted J-Hope's extraordinary command of performance. His movements rarely appear accidental. Every gesture seems calculated to communicate emotion as much as technical excellence. Official concert footage and rehearsal documentaries repeatedly reveal an artist who demands remarkable precision from himself before expecting perfection on stage. Various analyses suggest that this obsessive attention to detail has significantly contributed to BTS's reputation as one of the strongest live performing groups in modern music history. While audiences often remember explosive dance breaks and charismatic facial expressions, those closest to the production process frequently emphasize the unseen hours of rehearsal that transformed raw talent into exceptional consistency. This contrast between effortless appearance and exhaustive preparation has become one of the defining characteristics admired by fans across generations. Public perception of J-Hope has also evolved considerably over time. During BTS's early years, many casual observers primarily associated him with infectious positivity and boundless energy. However, official documentaries, solo projects, and long-form interviews gradually revealed another dimension of his personality, one marked by discipline, perfectionism, and an unwavering determination to constantly reinvent himself. Various commentators argued that this evolution strengthened his relationship with global audiences because it demonstrated authenticity rather than manufactured optimism. Fans increasingly recognized that genuine positivity is not the absence of hardship, but the conscious decision to move forward despite immense pressure. In online discussions throughout 2026, numerous ARMY members describe J-Hope as someone capable of lifting collective morale during uncertain moments, both within BTS and among supporters themselves. Such perceptions cannot easily be quantified through streaming statistics or commercial achievements, yet they represent an emotional influence that many believe carries equal significance. Official milestones from his solo career further reinforce this growing legacy. His independent musical projects expanded artistic boundaries by incorporating diverse genres, experimental production techniques, and deeply personal storytelling. Critics frequently noted that these releases demonstrated a willingness to embrace creative risks rather than remain confined within familiar expectations. Various reviews praised his ability to balance commercial accessibility with artistic individuality, allowing listeners to experience another side of an artist previously known primarily for performance excellence. This willingness to explore unfamiliar creative territory has become one of the most frequently cited reasons why admiration for J-Hope continues to grow among longtime supporters as well as newer audiences discovering his work independently. Beyond music itself, public appearances have also contributed significantly to his international reputation. Official invitations to prestigious cultural and fashion events have positioned him among globally recognized figures whose influence extends beyond entertainment. Fashion analysts have repeatedly discussed his ability to merge contemporary trends with distinctive personal style, creating a visual identity that feels both sophisticated and approachable. Various industry reports continue to acknowledge his collaborations with internationally respected brands, illustrating how cultural influence increasingly operates across multiple creative industries rather than remaining confined to music alone. Nevertheless, fan discussions often return to qualities that cannot be displayed on magazine covers or measured through endorsement statistics. Many supporters point toward his interactions with fellow BTS members, describing him as an emotional anchor whose encouragement frequently appears during behind-the-scenes footage. Official documentaries reveal moments where his enthusiasm helps ease tension before major performances, while interviews from other members occasionally reference his reliability during periods of intense workload. Although such observations remain subjective, they have become recurring themes within the collective narrative surrounding J-Hope's public image. Various community analyses even suggest that his emotional consistency contributes to the group's long-term cohesion, a factor impossible to calculate numerically, but repeatedly acknowledged by fans who closely follow BTS's journey. At the same time, rankings like this inevitably generate debate. Different countries, platforms, and voting systems often produce dramatically different outcomes depending on participation levels and demographic distribution. Official records confirm enormous support for every BTS member, making definitive comparisons extraordinarily difficult. Some international fan communities consistently place J-Hope among their top favorites due to his danceability, live performances, and inspirational personality, while others prioritize different artistic qualities represented by other members. Such diversity reflects the remarkable breadth of BTS's global audience, rather than any objective hierarchy of popularity. Every statistic captures only a fragment of a much larger emotional landscape shaped by culture, personal experience, language, and individual connection. As 2026 continues, one conclusion appears increasingly difficult to dispute. J-Hope's legacy is no longer defined solely by choreography or stage charisma. It encompasses artistic courage, relentless professionalism, emotional resilience, and an enduring ability to inspire optimism without denying the reality of hardship. Official achievements continue to accumulate, yet many supporters argue that his greatest accomplishment cannot be preserved within trophies or numerical records. Instead, it survives within countless personal stories shared by fans who found motivation through his perseverance and hope through his example. And perhaps that is the most intriguing mystery of all. When admiration is built not only on extraordinary performances, but also on the invisible strength that quietly changes people's lives, can any ranking truly capture the full measure of J-Hope's place in the hearts of ARMY worldwide? Number 5. Jimin. As midnight settles over cities scattered across continents and millions of screens continue glowing long after the world has fallen asleep, another chapter of BTS's remarkable legacy quietly unfolds beyond the reach of concert stages and television cameras. Somewhere between endless streaming playlists, emotional fan letters translated into dozens of languages, and discussions that never truly come to an end, one name continues to surface with extraordinary consistency. In 2026, Jimin stands at the 5th position in this ranking of the most beloved BTS members among ARMY worldwide. At first glance, the placement may appear surprising to some observers, particularly considering the unprecedented milestones associated with his solo career and his immense global popularity. Yet official records, public engagement data, and various fan-driven surveys repeatedly demonstrate that every member of BTS commands an exceptional level of international admiration, making even the slightest differences in rankings remarkably difficult to define. Rather than reflecting a decline in influence, Jimin's position illustrates the extraordinary reality that millions of supporters form deeply personal connections with each member for entirely different reasons. Behind every vote, every online discussion, and every streaming record lies an emotional landscape too complex to be reduced to numbers alone. For years, Jimin has occupied a unique position within BTS, recognized not only for his extraordinary vocal color and graceful dance technique, but also for an emotional expressiveness that many fans describe as impossible to imitate. Official concert footage consistently reveals performances where technical precision merges seamlessly with vulnerability, allowing audiences to witness an artist who appears to communicate every lyric through movement as much as through voice. Dance experts have frequently analyzed his ability to combine classical control with contemporary performance styles, creating choreography that feels less like a sequence of rehearsed motions and more like visual storytelling. Various professional commentators have suggested that this distinctive artistic identity separates him from countless performers across the global music industry. While many artists captivate audiences through spectacle alone, Jimin often achieves the same effect through subtle emotional nuance, an approach that has become one of the defining characteristics admired by ARMY around the world. Official records continue to highlight the remarkable success of his solo activities. His releases have accumulated extraordinary streaming numbers, chart achievements, and international recognition across multiple platforms. Music critics frequently point toward his ability to balance commercial appeal with artistic sincerity, presenting songs that resonate both emotionally and musically with audiences from diverse cultural backgrounds. Various industry analyses note that his solo career demonstrated not only widespread popularity, but also a willingness to explore deeply personal themes involving identity, vulnerability, loneliness, and self-acceptance. These subjects, while intensely individual, have repeatedly proven capable of connecting with millions of listeners navigating similar emotions within entirely different lives. It is perhaps this ability to transform personal experience into universal understanding that continues to strengthen Jimin's bond with fans. Beyond official statistics, however, another narrative quietly shapes his reputation. Across international fan communities throughout 2026, discussions surrounding Jimin frequently emphasize his extraordinary empathy. Numerous supporters describe moments during concerts, live streams, interviews, and public appearances where seemingly small gestures carried profound emotional significance. Whether offering words of encouragement, expressing gratitude with visible sincerity, or simply acknowledging the presence of fans with genuine warmth, these interactions have gradually accumulated into a public image built on emotional accessibility rather than unattainable perfection. Official documentaries repeatedly capture glimpses of this characteristic behind the scenes, showing an individual deeply attentive not only to artistic excellence, but also to the emotional atmosphere surrounding fellow members and production staff. Although such observations remain inherently subjective, they appear consistently across discussions originating from different countries, languages, and cultural perspectives. This remarkable consistency has become an important aspect of how Jimin is perceived worldwide. Another element frequently debated among analysts concerns the relationship between vulnerability and popularity. Conventional celebrity culture often rewards confidence, mystery, or carefully controlled public images, yet Jimin has repeatedly demonstrated a willingness to acknowledge personal uncertainty, creative pressure, and emotional struggle without allowing those admissions to overshadow his professionalism. Various commentators argue that this honesty has strengthened rather than weakened his reputation, creating an environment in which supporters feel they are witnessing genuine personal growth instead of a carefully manufactured persona. Official interviews conducted over multiple years reveal recurring themes of self-improvement, perseverance, and relentless dedication to artistic development. Even after achieving extraordinary international success, Jimin has often spoken about continuing to learn, practice, and refine his abilities. Many fans interpret this attitude as evidence that true excellence is never viewed as a final destination, but rather as an ongoing process.
Such perceptions have significantly contributed to the loyalty surrounding his global fanbase. Nevertheless, popularity within BTS remains an exceptionally complicated subject. Official engagement metrics demonstrate enormous support for every member across different regions, while independent surveys often produce dramatically different rankings depending on methodology, participant demographics, and geographical distribution. Some countries consistently place Jimin near the very top due to his artistic elegance and emotional performances, whereas other communities favor different members, whose personalities or music styles resonate more closely with local audiences. Various fan discussions acknowledge that emotional attachment rarely follows objective criteria. A single performance, lyric, interview, or moment of kindness may permanently shape someone's favorite member in ways no statistical model could ever predict. Consequently, rankings such as this should be understood not as absolute declarations, but as evolving reflections of broad international trends supported by available public data and community engagement. Industry experts likewise caution against interpreting numerical positions as indicators of overall importance within BTS. Official records clearly demonstrate that the group's extraordinary success has always depended on the complementary strengths of all 7 members. Remove any one individual from that equation, and the chemistry that transformed BTS into a global cultural phenomenon would inevitably change. Jimin's contribution remains inseparable from that larger story. His distinctive vocal tone has shaped countless iconic songs. His dance performances continue to influence younger generations of artists, and his emotional authenticity has become one of the defining characteristics remembered by millions of fans. As 2026 unfolds, admiration for Jimin continues to extend beyond commercial achievements into something far more enduring. It survives in the quiet testimonies of listeners who found comfort within his music, in aspiring performers inspired by his relentless discipline, and in audiences who discovered that extraordinary strength sometimes reveals itself not through loud declarations, but through quiet sincerity. Perhaps that is the greatest mystery surrounding his enduring popularity. When an artist's influence is measured not only through records broken or awards collected, but through invisible emotional connections shared across countless lives, is it truly possible for any ranking to define the depth of Jimin's place in the hearts of ARMY around the world?
Number 4. Jin. As the first rays of sunlight slowly illuminate Seoul and another day begins inside recording studios, rehearsal halls, and broadcasting stations, a quieter story unfolds beyond the headlines that celebrate chart victories and sold-out arenas. It is a story that has evolved over more than a decade, shaped by resilience, maturity, and an unwavering ability to remain composed while standing at the center of one of the largest global entertainment phenomena in modern history. In 2026, Jin occupies the 4th position in this ranking of the most beloved BTS members among ARMY worldwide. For many casual observers, this placement may seem unexpected. His name has long been associated with remarkable visuals, unforgettable vocals, and a personality capable of balancing confidence with humility. Yet, official records and various fan-driven analyses consistently demonstrate that the emotional bond between BTS and ARMY cannot be measured solely through popularity polls or social media engagement. Every member commands extraordinary loyalty from millions of supporters, making even the smallest differences in global rankings a reflection of changing public sentiment rather than definitive conclusions. Jin's presence within BTS has always represented something unique. While discussions often highlight his worldwide reputation for exceptional visuals, those who have closely followed the group's journey understand that his greatest influence extends far beyond appearances. Official documentaries, concert footage, and long-form interviews repeatedly reveal an artist whose professionalism, emotional steadiness, and quiet determination have become essential elements of BTS's enduring identity. Throughout the group's career, Jin has consistently demonstrated an ability to transform pressure into composure, maintaining a calm presence during moments when expectations surrounding BTS reached unprecedented levels.
Industry observers frequently point out that this emotional stability contributed significantly to the group's ability to navigate years of relentless global attention without losing the sense of unity that fans continue to admire. Across countless performances, Jin's vocal evolution has become one of the most frequently discussed aspects of his artistic journey. Music critics have often noted that his voice possesses a distinctive emotional clarity, capable of conveying vulnerability without sacrificing technical control. Official live performances repeatedly illustrate how his vocal delivery has matured over the years, allowing him to interpret both powerful anthems and deeply intimate ballads with remarkable consistency. Various analysts suggest that this gradual development reflects years of disciplined practice rather than natural ability alone. Behind every seemingly effortless high note lies an extensive history of rehearsal, refinement, and continuous learning. Fans who revisit BTS's earliest performances often remark on the dramatic transformation of his vocal confidence, viewing it as one of the clearest examples of perseverance within the group's history. This narrative of constant improvement has become one of the reasons why admiration for Jin extends across multiple generations of ARMY. Official milestones from his solo activities have further reinforced this reputation. His individual musical releases have received significant international attention, generating impressive streaming numbers and widespread praise for their emotional sincerity. Critics frequently describe his songs as deeply personal reflections rather than attempts to follow commercial trends, allowing listeners to experience another dimension of his artistic identity. Various reviews emphasize his ability to communicate universal themes such as longing, hope, gratitude, and self-reflection through performances that feel both intimate and authentic. Rather than relying solely on elaborate production or dramatic visual concepts, Jin's music often places emotional storytelling at its center. This artistic approach has strengthened his connection with audiences seeking sincerity over spectacle, contributing to an image built upon authenticity rather than temporary popularity. Beyond music, another dimension of Jin's appeal repeatedly emerges within international fan discussions. Numerous ARMY members describe him as someone capable of bringing emotional balance to BTS through humor, optimism, and genuine warmth. While these lighter moments are often remembered by fans, official behind-the-scenes content also reveals a quieter side characterized by responsibility, patience, and attentiveness toward fellow members. Various documentaries capture subtle interactions that rarely become headlines, yet leave lasting impressions on audiences observing the group's internal dynamics. Many supporters believe that these understated moments illustrate leadership expressed not through authority, but through reliability and emotional support. Although such interpretations remain subjective, their consistency across different communities suggests that Jin's influence extends beyond performance into the interpersonal relationships that have sustained BTS throughout years of extraordinary success. Another factor frequently highlighted by commentators is the evolution of public perception surrounding Jin. Early discussions often focused heavily on his visual reputation, earning him widespread recognition for his appearance long before many audiences fully appreciated the depth of his artistic abilities. Over time, however, official performances, solo projects, and public appearances gradually shifted that narrative. Increasingly, critics and fans alike began emphasizing his vocal growth, emotional intelligence, professionalism, and dedication to continuous improvement. This transformation reflects a broader pattern observed throughout BTS's career, where sustained excellence gradually replaces first impressions with deeper appreciation. Official records indicate that his global recognition continues to expand, supported not only by longtime fans, but also by new audiences discovering his work through individual projects and recent performances. Nevertheless, rankings such as this inevitably remain open to interpretation. Different surveys frequently produce different outcomes, depending on geographical participation, demographic representation, and voting methodology. Official engagement data consistently demonstrate extraordinary support for every BTS member, making precise comparisons exceptionally difficult. Some international communities regularly place Jin among their absolute favorites due to his emotional vocals and reassuring personality, while others prioritize different artistic qualities represented by other members. Various analysts caution against viewing these rankings as objective measurements of worth, emphasizing instead that they represent evolving snapshots of global fan engagement at a particular moment in time. Emotional attachment cannot be reduced to statistics alone, because every fan's journey with BTS begins under different circumstances and is shaped by different experiences. As 2026 continues, one observation appears increasingly evident. Jin's legacy within BTS is no longer defined merely by his title as the eldest member or by his internationally recognized visuals. It is built upon years of artistic growth, unwavering professionalism, emotional resilience, and an authenticity that has remained remarkably consistent despite immense global fame. Official achievements provide measurable evidence of his success, yet many supporters argue that his greatest accomplishment lies elsewhere, in the countless moments of comfort, encouragement, and inspiration he has quietly provided to millions who continue to see him as far more than a performer. And perhaps that enduring connection raises the most compelling question of all. When admiration is sustained not simply by extraordinary talent, but by the rare ability to make millions feel understood through honesty and quiet strength, can any ranking truly define the depth of Jin's place in the hearts of ARMY around the world?
Number 3. Suga. As darkness settles over Seoul, and the glow of recording studio monitors becomes the only source of light inside rooms where countless songs have been born, another story quietly takes shape beyond the applause of stadium crowds and the headlines celebrating commercial success. Hidden behind layers of carefully arranged melodies, handwritten lyrics, and endless hours of production lies an artist whose influence often reaches far beyond the stage itself. In 2026, Suga claims the third position in this ranking of the most beloved BTS members among ARMY worldwide. For many observers, this placement reflects more than popularity alone. It represents years of artistic consistency, emotional honesty, and an unwavering commitment to creating music that refuses to avoid uncomfortable truths. Official records continue to demonstrate his remarkable achievements as both a member of BTS and an individual artist, while discussions across international fan communities repeatedly describe him as one of the most respected musicians within the global K-pop industry. Yet beneath every statistic, streaming milestone, and sold-out performance lies a more complex narrative, one that cannot be measured solely through commercial success, because Suga's greatest influence has often emerged from the quiet moments when music becomes a mirror reflecting emotions that many listeners struggle to express themselves. Throughout BTS's history, Suga has cultivated a reputation unlike that of almost any other idol in modern popular music. While many performers build their public identities around carefully polished optimism, his artistic approach has consistently embraced vulnerability, uncertainty, ambition, exhaustion, and personal conflict. Official interviews conducted over many years reveal an individual unafraid to discuss subjects that are frequently avoided within mainstream entertainment. Various analyses suggest that this openness has become one of the strongest foundations of his relationship with ARMY. Rather than presenting an image of unattainable perfection, Suga has repeatedly emphasized the reality of continuous struggle, creative frustration, and emotional growth. Many supporters describe this honesty as deeply reassuring, arguing that it transforms his music into something more enduring than temporary entertainment. It becomes documentation of lived experience, an archive of thoughts and emotions shared across cultural and linguistic boundaries. Official records also highlight Suga's extraordinary influence behind the scenes as a songwriter and producer.
Numerous BTS songs, solo releases, and collaborations bear his creative signature, demonstrating an ability to construct music that balances commercial appeal with lyrical depth. Music critics frequently praise his production style for its versatility, seamlessly blending traditional hip-hop foundations with contemporary sounds while maintaining a distinct artistic identity. Various industry experts have noted that his willingness to experiment with different genres has expanded expectations regarding what Korean artists can achieve on the international stage. Rather than remaining confined by familiar formulas, Suga has consistently pursued innovation, creating projects that challenge both himself and his audience. This creative ambition has earned respect not only from fans, but also from fellow musicians, producers, and critics across multiple countries. Beyond measurable achievements, however, another dimension of Suga's popularity continues to attract significant attention throughout 2026. Across fan communities worldwide, discussions frequently return to the emotional impact of his lyrics. Official releases often explore themes such as anxiety, self-doubt, perseverance, identity, and hope, subjects that resonate deeply with audiences navigating similar struggles within their own lives. Various commentators argue that his ability to articulate difficult emotions without offering simplistic solutions distinguishes his work from much of contemporary popular music. Instead of promising effortless happiness, Suga often acknowledges complexity, recognizing that healing and personal growth rarely follow predictable paths. Many ARMY members have publicly shared stories describing how his music provided comfort during periods of uncertainty, reinforcing the perception that his influence extends beyond artistic admiration into genuine emotional support. Although such testimonies remain personal and subjective, their remarkable consistency across languages and cultures has become impossible to ignore. Another frequently discussed aspect of Suga's public image concerns the contrast between his reserved personality and his profound emotional expressiveness through music. Casual observers sometimes perceive him as quiet or distant during interviews, yet official documentaries and behind-the-scenes footage repeatedly reveal an individual deeply invested in the success and well-being of those around him. Fellow BTS members have occasionally spoken about his reliability, thoughtful advice, and quiet acts of encouragement, contributing to an image built upon substance rather than constant visibility. Various fan analyses suggest that this balance between privacy and sincerity has strengthened his credibility. Rather than seeking attention through dramatic public gestures, Suga often allows his work to communicate what words alone cannot fully express. This understated authenticity has become one of the defining reasons why admiration for him continues to grow year after year. His solo career has further expanded this legacy. Official milestones associated with his independent projects demonstrate extraordinary international success, with albums and performances receiving widespread recognition from critics and audiences alike. Reviews frequently highlight his cinematic quality of his storytelling, the technical sophistication of his production, and the emotional honesty embedded within every release. Various publications have argued that his solo work represents one of the strongest examples of artistic independence emerging within BTS, illustrating how individual creativity can coexist with collective identity. Despite these accomplishments, official interviews consistently reveal an artist who continues to emphasize improvement rather than perfection, reinforcing the image of someone driven more by creative curiosity than by external recognition. Nevertheless, determining who is most loved remains an inherently complex undertaking. Official statistics measure album sales, streaming numbers, chart positions, and social media engagement, but they cannot fully capture emotional attachment. Different countries, demographic groups, and fan communities frequently produce dramatically different rankings depending on cultural preferences and personal experiences. Some surveys place Suga even higher due to his songwriting and lyrical depth, while others prioritize members whose strengths lie in performance, vocals, or visual appeal. Various analysts therefore caution that rankings such as this should be interpreted as broad reflections of current international trends rather than absolute declarations of popularity. The emotional connection between BTS and ARMY has always been too multifaceted to fit neatly within numerical boundaries. As 2026 unfolds, one conclusion continues to emerge with remarkable clarity. Suga's legacy is no longer defined solely by his abilities as a rapper, producer, or composer. It is built upon years of fearless artistic expression, relentless dedication to musical excellence, and an unwavering willingness to confront realities that many choose to avoid. Official achievements provide measurable evidence of his extraordinary career, yet millions of supporters believe his greatest accomplishment cannot be preserved within awards or streaming records alone. Instead, it survives within countless listeners who discovered courage through his lyrics, resilience through his honesty, and hope through his refusal to disguise life's complexities. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery surrounding Suga's enduring influence. When an artist transforms personal vulnerability into a universal language understood by millions across the world, can any ranking truly measure the depth of the bond that continues to unite him with ARMY?
Number 2, Taehyung. As twilight slowly settles over the skyline of Seoul and the city's endless rhythm begins to soften beneath the glow of thousands of lights, another chapter of BTS's extraordinary legacy quietly unfolds, far from the deafening roar of stadium crowds. Behind the cameras, beyond the carefully choreographed performances, and beneath the headlines celebrating record-breaking achievements, there exists a story built upon something far more difficult to quantify: an emotional connection that has continued to grow stronger with every passing year. In 2026, Taehyung, known globally as V, occupies the second position in this ranking of the most beloved BTS members among ARMY worldwide. To some observers, this result may appear surprising, considering his immense global popularity, his remarkable influence across fashion, music, and visual culture, and the extraordinary loyalty demonstrated by his international fanbase. Yet official records, public engagement statistics, and various fan-driven surveys consistently reveal an important reality: the difference separating the highest-ranked members is often incredibly narrow. Rather than indicating a lack of support, this placement reflects the exceptional phenomenon that every member of BTS commands millions of deeply devoted admirers across every continent. Within that extraordinary landscape, Taehyung's position represents one of the strongest demonstrations of sustained global influence in modern entertainment. From the earliest years of BTS, Taehyung attracted attention through qualities that proved remarkably difficult to replicate. His naturally deep vocal tone immediately distinguished him within the group's musical identity, providing emotional depth and contrast across countless songs that have since become globally recognized. Official live performances consistently demonstrate his ability to transition effortlessly between delicate emotional ballads and commanding stage performances without sacrificing vocal character. Music critics frequently describe his voice as one of the most recognizable in contemporary K-pop, emphasizing its rich timbre and expressive versatility. Various analysts argue that this unique vocal identity has become one of the defining elements shaping BTS's overall sound, allowing listeners to identify his presence almost instantly, regardless of musical genre. Such artistic individuality has contributed significantly to the lasting admiration surrounding his career. Beyond music, however, another dimension of Taehyung's popularity has continued to expand throughout 2026. Official appearances at international fashion events, cultural exhibitions, and global media campaigns have reinforced his reputation as one of the most influential public figures within the entertainment industry. Fashion commentators regularly highlight his ability to redefine trends through understated elegance rather than excessive spectacle. Luxury brands, photographers, and creative directors have repeatedly acknowledged his extraordinary visual presence, noting that his appeal extends beyond conventional celebrity influence into the broader world of art and aesthetics. Various industry reports suggest that his collaborations consistently generate significant international attention, illustrating how his cultural impact now reaches audiences who may not initially have discovered him through BTS alone. Yet despite this growing influence, many supporters argue that Taehyung's greatest strength lies not in his appearance, but in the emotional authenticity that continues to define his public image. Across international fan communities, discussions frequently emphasize his sincerity during interviews, live broadcasts, and interactions with ARMY.
Official documentaries repeatedly capture moments where his thoughtful observations, quiet humor, and genuine curiosity reveal a personality far more complex than the polished image often associated with global superstardom. Numerous fans describe him as someone capable of communicating profound emotion through remarkably simple gestures, a brief smile, a moment of silence, or a heartfelt message delivered without elaborate performance. Although such impressions remain inherently subjective, their remarkable consistency across languages, cultures, and generations suggests that they reflect a broader pattern within global fan perception. Official records from his solo career further reinforce this narrative. His independent musical releases have achieved substantial international recognition, with critics frequently praising their cohesive artistic direction, emotional atmosphere, and willingness to explore jazz, soul, and contemporary R&B influences rarely emphasized within mainstream K-pop. Various reviews note that rather than pursuing commercial formulas alone, Taehyung appeared determined to create music reflecting his own artistic preferences and personal identity. This commitment to authenticity earned widespread respect from both longtime supporters and music critics, many of whom described his work as elegant, introspective, and emotionally sophisticated. Official streaming milestones and chart performances confirmed the project's commercial success, while audience reactions demonstrated that artistic individuality could coexist with global popularity. Nevertheless, another intriguing aspect continues to dominate discussions surrounding Taehyung's remarkable appeal. Various analysts frequently describe him as one of the most naturally charismatic members of BTS, yet they often struggle to explain precisely why his presence leaves such a lasting impression. Unlike qualities that can be measured through technical evaluation or statistical analysis, charisma remains deeply subjective. Official performances certainly show exceptional stage confidence, but many supporters argue that his influence extends beyond performance itself. Whether attending public events, participating in interviews, or simply appearing in candid behind-the-scenes footage, Taehyung consistently generates extraordinary public attention. Some observers attribute this phenomenon to his expressive facial features, others to his distinctive vocal tone, while many believe the explanation lies in an intangible combination of confidence, authenticity, and emotional intelligence. Despite countless attempts to define this characteristic, no single theory has achieved universal acceptance, adding another layer of mystery to his enduring popularity. Of course, rankings such as this inevitably remain open to debate. Official engagement statistics provide valuable insight into global trends, yet they cannot fully capture the deeply personal relationships that individual fans develop with different members. Various surveys conducted across different countries frequently produce different outcomes depending upon cultural preferences, participation rates, and demographic composition. In several international communities, Taehyung consistently occupies the highest position, while other regions favor different members based upon personal artistic preferences or emotional connection. Such variations illustrate that affection cannot be reduced to mathematical formulas alone. Every fan experiences BTS through unique memories, individual circumstances, and deeply personal interpretations that no ranking can ever fully represent. As 2026 continues, one conclusion appears increasingly undeniable. Taehyung's legacy extends far beyond his reputation as an exceptional vocalist, performer, or global fashion icon. It is built upon artistic authenticity, emotional sincerity, relentless creative evolution, and an enduring ability to establish meaningful connections with audiences separated by language, geography, and culture. Official achievements continue to strengthen his remarkable career, yet countless supporters believe that his greatest accomplishment cannot be measured through awards, sales, or rankings. Instead, it survives within the quiet emotional moments where his music, words, or presence provide comfort, inspiration, and hope to millions around the world. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery surrounding Taehyung's extraordinary influence. When admiration is sustained by qualities that statistics can never fully explain, could the true depth of his bond with ARMY remain forever beyond the reach of any ranking?
Number 1. Jungkook. As dawn slowly breaks over cities separated by thousands of kilometers, millions of notifications begin appearing almost simultaneously across phones, tablets, and computer screens. A new performance, a brief public appearance, a single photograph, or even a short message is often enough to trigger an immediate wave of reactions that spreads across continents within minutes. Long before international news outlets publish their reports, countless fan communities have already begun analyzing every detail, comparing official statistics, discussing public reactions, and searching for meaning behind even the smallest moments. It is within this extraordinary global phenomenon that Jungkook stands at the top of this 2026 ranking as the most beloved BTS member among ARMY worldwide. Official records accumulated over many years consistently demonstrate his remarkable international popularity, while various fan-driven surveys, social media engagement metrics, streaming achievements, and public discussions repeatedly place his name among the most recognized figures in contemporary music. Yet, the significance of this position extends far beyond numerical measurements. It reflects an unusually rare combination of artistic excellence, relentless discipline, emotional authenticity, and worldwide recognition that has continued to grow even as BTS itself evolved into one of the most influential cultural phenomena of the 21st century. Throughout BTS's history, Jungkook has frequently been described by music critics and industry observers as one of the most complete performers of his generation. His reputation was never built upon a single talent alone. Official live performances consistently demonstrate an artist capable of combining stable vocals, powerful dance technique, stage presence, emotional expression, and remarkable physical endurance into performances that maintain exceptional quality, regardless of venue or audience size. Various analysts have argued that his versatility became one of BTS's greatest competitive strengths on the international stage. Whether performing emotionally intimate ballads, energetic pop anthems, contemporary R&B, or complex choreography demanding extraordinary precision, Jungkook repeatedly demonstrated an ability to adapt without compromising artistic identity. This consistency has become one of the defining reasons why admiration for him extends across both dedicated ARMY and casual listeners discovering BTS for the first time. Official records from his solo career further strengthened this global reputation. His individual releases achieved extraordinary commercial success across multiple international markets, generating impressive streaming figures, chart performances, and worldwide media attention. Critics frequently praised his ability to create music that balanced mainstream accessibility with personal artistic character, allowing his work to resonate with audiences from diverse cultural backgrounds. Various publications observed that his songs demonstrated not only technical vocal ability, but also growing emotional maturity, reflecting an artist increasingly confident in expressing his own identity while remaining connected to the collective legacy of BTS. Official milestones confirmed widespread commercial achievement, yet many supporters argued that the most significant accomplishment lay elsewhere, in his ability to attract listeners who had never previously engaged with Korean popular music, expanding BTS's global reach even further. Beyond measurable success, however, another narrative consistently appears throughout international fan discussions. Across online communities in 2026, Jungkook is frequently described as an artist whose relentless pursuit of improvement remains one of his defining characteristics. Official documentaries, rehearsal footage, and interviews repeatedly reveal someone unwilling to become satisfied with previous accomplishments. Even after years of unprecedented international recognition, he continues refining vocal techniques, dance performances, stage presentation, and overall musicianship with remarkable discipline. Industry professionals have often highlighted this mindset as evidence that lasting excellence depends less upon natural talent than upon continuous dedication. Many ARMY members point toward this attitude as a source of personal inspiration, interpreting his work ethic as proof that extraordinary achievement is sustained through consistency rather than momentary brilliance. Another significant factor contributing to Jungkook's enduring popularity concerns the remarkable balance between global superstardom and personal authenticity. Despite becoming one of the most recognizable figures in modern entertainment, official public appearances consistently portray an individual who remains approachable, respectful, and deeply appreciative of the supporters who accompanied BTS throughout its journey. Various fan accounts repeatedly emphasize moments of sincere gratitude expressed during concerts, live streams, and interviews, describing interactions that feel personal despite occurring before millions of viewers. Although such experiences inevitably differ from person to person, the remarkable consistency of these observations across different countries and cultures has reinforced a public image grounded in humility rather than distance. Official behind-the-scenes content similarly reveals an artist focused not only on personal performance, but also on supporting fellow members, refining every detail of production and maintaining exceptionally high professional standards. These qualities have strengthened perceptions that Jungkook's success rests upon substance as much as popularity. Music analysts have also frequently discussed the phenomenon surrounding his international influence. Official engagement statistics consistently demonstrate extraordinary global attention when new content involving Jungkook is released. Streaming milestones, digital consumption patterns, and social media interactions regularly generate headlines illustrating the scale of worldwide interest surrounding his activities. Nevertheless, experts caution against interpreting such numbers as the sole explanation for his popularity. Various cultural commentators argue that statistical success represents only the visible surface of a far more complex emotional relationship between artist and audience. Behind every stream, concert ticket, and public interaction exists an individual story, someone who found motivation through his perseverance, comfort through his music, or inspiration through his unwavering dedication to artistic excellence. Those invisible human experiences remain impossible to calculate, yet they continue forming the true foundation of lasting admiration. Of course, even this first-place position should not be interpreted as an absolute or permanent conclusion. Different surveys conducted across different regions frequently produce varying results, depending upon methodology, demographics, participation rates, and cultural context. Official records clearly indicate that every BTS member enjoys extraordinary international support, making direct comparisons inherently difficult. Various analysts therefore emphasize that rankings such as this represent broad reflections of current global engagement, rather than definitive measurements of personal value or artistic importance. BTS's historic success has always depended upon the unique strengths contributed by all 7 members, each bringing qualities that cannot be replaced by another. Jungkook's position at the top of this particular ranking therefore highlights one moment within an ever-evolving global conversation, rather than establishing an unquestionable hierarchy. As 2026 continues, one observation nevertheless appears increasingly difficult to dispute. Jungkook has become more than an internationally celebrated singer, dancer, or performer. He represents years of continuous artistic evolution, unwavering discipline, remarkable versatility, and a genuine connection with millions of people whose lives have been touched by his work. Official achievements provide measurable evidence of an extraordinary career, yet many supporters believe his greatest legacy cannot be preserved within trophies, chart positions, or streaming records alone.
Instead, it lives quietly within countless personal memories created across concerts, songs, and moments of inspiration, shared between an artist and a global community that continues to grow with each passing year. And perhaps that is the final mystery surrounding the phenomenon of Jungkook. When admiration transcends statistics and becomes part of millions of individual lives around the world, can any ranking truly capture the full magnitude of the bond between the Golden Maknae and ARMY?